All right, I think there's enough people here for me to do a microphone check. Go ahead and let me know if you can hear me across the various chats. We've got YouTube, x.com, and Twitch going right now. I can only see the YouTube chat, but I will try to jump over and check in on the X chat as well to see if you can hear my microphone okay and hear my voice well. We will turn down the music when the stream starts, and we're going to get rolling here in a little less than 2 minutes. All right, so it appears everybody can hear me okay. We're going to get started in a little less than 30 seconds here. We'll get the music under control or we roll into this. I do see quite a few people piling into the X chat as well. Now, if you are chatting in there, I cannot actually see it. So if you do want me to see, if you have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and jump on over to the YouTube live stream. You can chat there. That's the one that I can actively monitor while I am streaming. X doesn't have a great plugin for that right now. But yeah, we're going to get started here. So let's go ahead and turn the music down. All right, let's roll right into it. Hello and welcome to Landy's Crypto Corner. Today is March 13th, 2024, and this is Market Madness Wednesdays. This is our live stream where we take a look at Bitcoin in particular. We may, if I have some time, look at traditional markets, but we are going to focus on Bitcoin today. And if you did watch yesterday's recorded video, the Staring at Charts series, where I broke down what my thoughts were, essentially everything's going to kind of remain the same because we have, that video typically releases right after market close open. So, we're still in that same daily candle, but this is for you guys to interact with me, ask me questions, give me your thoughts and comments on what's going on. Point out things that maybe I have not yet looked at in terms of price action and stuff like that. So we're going to start out by looking at Bitcoin here on the daily. And we can see that Bitcoin is still trading above the upper first standard deviation of the Bollinger Bands on the daily, which preserves its opportunity to head up as long as it's closing daily candles above the upper first. Now, that means that Bitcoin could potentially head up to the upper second standard deviation or even the upper third standard deviation because we are seeing a bit of BBWP cool down within the context of Bitcoin trading between the upper first and upper second. And the upper first is currently coming in at around $70,000. That hasn't changed much since yesterday's recorded video. And the upper second has moved up ever so slightly to just under $77,000, now coming in at $76,820. So at the end of today's daily close, if Bitcoin closes like this here or higher, especially above the prior wick highs of the past 2 days at $73,000 or so, well, then I would be looking for Bitcoin, if it can continue to trade above here, or above there in lower term time frames, I would look for it to head up to somewhere around $75,000. That's one of the primary targets. It's an even number. You're going to see people taking profits off of their long positions there, maybe even some spot sellers in that area as well. But around 75 to that upper second, around 77 or the deeper 70K area. Now, if Bitcoin does close a medium term time frame candle above 75 to 77, then I would be looking generally up to around $80,000 to the low $80,000 region, where the upper third standard deviation is coming in at around 83,600. So kind of a range. Because we are in blue sky territories, it's not going to be exact, but we are going to look at a few things that can give us some confluences for those areas as well here shortly. Now, if Bitcoin does happen to lose the upper first, which is also going to move up after today's daily closure, as long as Bitcoin closes above it, we're likely to see that somewhere around the close open from yesterday into today's open candle. So the close from yesterday into the open is coming in at 70, what's that close? It's $73,000 actually. So, as long as Bitcoin is closing above there, it's looking good. No, I'm sorry. It's not 73. It's 71,500 basically. 73. This is not the close. This is currently where Bitcoin's trading. My apologies. So it would be yesterday's close into today's open. I was reading the wrong number. So it's around 71,475 to 71,500. So you can call it just 71,500. That's roughly where I expect the upper first to be. We can also see that the basis is well above the prior consolidation breakout. So this short consolidation on the daily here of about 4 close opens before moving up and taking out the wick high there at 64,100, which was a front run of the $65,000 first high that was put in March of 2021. Now, in this case, the basis being above that short-term consolidation is perfect. You want to see that. Eventually, we want to see this lower first get above this wick low that hit around that $59,000 to $60,000 area as well, and then come back to it. But that would be extremely bullish as well. See the lower first there. For band volatility levels, currently it's at 56,350 or so, or 56,450 or so, and doesn't have far to go. It is aggressively curling up as Bitcoin consolidates between the upper second and upper third of the volatility levels here. Looks beautiful. Bitcoin being in blue skies like this is what you want to see. It's doing exactly what you would want to see rather during a breakout of the prior cycle all-time highs at $69,000. And basically, as long as Bitcoin is above $69,000 to $70,000 right now, I expect it to be up and to the right. There's probably going to be lower term time frame violent wicks. And because volatility is so high on not just the daily, but also if we go over here to the weekly, you can see how volatility is extremely elevated on a weekly level. This is powerful at an 84, almost 85 over 52. That means that during the daily candles, you can get multi-$1,000 moves that just turn into, bullish wicks in many cases. And you can see that Bitcoin has been riding above the upper second standard deviation on the weekly here, which is coming in at $67,000. And if it does close the weekly above here, then the upper third is the natural target for it. And that's coming in around that 77, almost $78,000. It's low 77s, but you can kind of give it a range because if Bitcoin does begin to push up there in the dailies before the weekly close, then that has confluence with some of our upside targets on the daily here in the $77,000 to $78,000 region. And Bitcoin is known for doing this when it's in blue skies. So, and if you're not familiar with that term, blue sky breakout means that there is no real historical overhead resistance. So, this is going to run until we see a high put in on at least the daily, and then we can start marking off overhead resistance. Until then, we keep an eye on those lower term time frames. And oh, I see that there is some bots have made their way in. Hello. I'm probably going to ban you. No, I don't want your promotion. Thank you. You can leave now. Goodbye. All right. So if we go out to the monthly, I have drawn your attention to this a few times now in the prior live streams, but you know, Bitcoin, once it gets that closure above the monthly upper third standard deviation, we typically see this continue for a couple of monthly candles before putting in a monthly high. Now, in prior cycles, the monthly high that was put in was the all-time high. That changed last cycle. So you can see that back here in November of 2020, Bitcoin closed above the upper third standard deviation, and then we had 4 candles up that closed above the upper third subsequently thereafter. So we saw that Bitcoin reached for that upper third in the 5th candle after closing above it. It failed that, swung it, took out the low side structure and the open there at 45,231. Came back down, reaccumulated on the daily. That was a Wyckoff reaccumulation pattern. Came back up and then spiked the upper second standard deviation twice perfectly before coming back down, failing to hold these lows on this breakdown candle there at the close opens here at 31.8. Dropped that low down into the macro low now. This, to me, this kind of shortened double top is indicative of a much longer term, higher term time frame than the monthly accumulation. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, that's the stage that we're at with ETFs now here. And I want to remind you guys and gals that ETFs being here, they, initially giving these soft targets of like a 1% to 3% portfolio allocation for these Bitcoin ETFs. They're not even close to 1% right now, just so you know. That's for assets under management for each of the big players, the big 10 that are in the ETF game now for Bitcoin here. And, those projections are being revised. That's not a hard cap at 1% to 3%. In fact, we're hearing throughout the industry that a 5% is probably going to be a more likely portfolio allocation that many portfolio managers are going to aim for. And that number is only ever going to increase. So when you hear that, hey, this thing launched in January, it's March, and we're already hearing talks about 5% portfolio allocation. Now, that's not something that they've publicly come out and documented in terms of their statements, but they have floated the idea, many of these companies. And, this means that, that number is going to be ever increasing or shifting upwards. Again, I'm going to reference Matthew Crowder because he just comes out with some really good stuff that kind of fits right into the things that we've been talking about for a long time. And, he had mentioned he did a video that I think was this morning that he released it, where he's saying, is now a good time to buy Bitcoin and that kind of stuff. And his point is, yeah, there's 31 to 34 trillion in debt that you can see, and there's another 200 trillion between Social Security, Medicare, and like all these other programs that need to be funded. So, it roughly, and that's only, numbers that the public can kind of get access to ballpark, and it's probably more like 250 trillion. So, I mean, the dollars is going away. We know this. That's why we see the CBDC push. They want to push into CBDCs. They want to wipe all that old debt and or cannibalize it. So it's not something that I think is really going to be contested, especially in the years to come. And now that the big companies that have all of these assets under management are wise to what's going on. They understand what's going on. Many of them are in the banking industry themselves, whether it's through investment or shares or whatever it may be. They understand what's going on, which is why they pulled the trigger when they did and really went at the SEC in the manner that they did. Of course, the grayscale decision really helped as well, but this does mean that over the longer term, I do think that the the macro sideways and up consolidation will result in a boom to the upside. And you may, and we may, because I will be right here with you, see something like a massive sell-off from high levels, whether that's our initial targets that we have here. We can go back to the monthly and just, pull that fib that we can reference at least, because we don't have a top even on the weekly just yet to pull. When we get a new top, we will take a look at some possible projections, but soft conservative upside targets at the 1272 around $100,000 to the 1414 on the extension to around 130. Those are easy targets. And from the macro, during the bear markets, if you pull swing high to swing low, we have seen Bitcoin, head up and, top out around the 1414, which would be 130. I'm not totally convinced that that's going to occur again. We have had a change in Bitcoin, and we did not get that. We got a parabolic move. I mean, anybody that's arguing that wasn't a parabolic move back in 2020 into 2021, they're kind of being greedy with their targets. But one of the big things that we had never seen before was a double top on a macro time frame, like a monthly for Bitcoin. Lower highs typically thereafter, but this was a higher high on a wick, shadow, or swing, if you like, and a close. So in this case, we're looking at a structure change and Bitcoin maturing. And part of this was because of, the wider adoption of the public and corporate holdings. So, there's a lot of companies that put Bitcoin on their books in 2020 when Elon put Bitcoin on Tesla's books. And, they're not big publicly traded companies. So, they're big companies, but in the private sector without publicly traded stock. And they've been filling their treasuries too. So they don't want to become, the product of a bygone era. They want to be ahead of the curve, and they typically are ahead of the curve when, in comparison to some of the bigger guys that are beholden to public shareholders. So in this case, Bitcoin trading and closing any kind of monthly candle by the end of the month above $69,000 is going to beget a natural upside target to that 1272 at around $100,000. Bitcoin could take daily breaks in between there, put in some swings, and then we can refine those targets. But right now, we don't even have a daily high to reference. We have the swing high of the current move, but while the move is currently going on, we don't want to try to fib that to get any kind of an idea of extensions. We want to use that for potential pullback areas of interest here. So if we were to pull the current swing high to previous swing low here, we've got a beautiful area of interest right here at the 618 at around 63,800. Now this number has gone up slightly. It's still above the basis because we keep making higher highs on Bitcoin here. I say we, and I do mean we. We are not Bitcoin, but we are Bitcoiners. So I do consider that a we. That's a little reference to Mr. Eric Crown over there, whom I enjoy listening to very much. And the guy is brilliant. So I do suggest that you follow him and watch his stuff as well. Now, if Bitcoin can keep trading above that upper first, which is the 888, this is the Torque's famous 888. Thank you very much, Torque, for putting me on game for this one. He did a ton of back testing on the 888 fibs, and they are brilliant. So shout out to him. And, if Bitcoin were to remain above here, the upper first and that 888 at around 70,000 to 70,655 here, then, sideways and up. I'd be looking for it to take that area out, head up to the upper second area, possibly even the upper third. Now, if Bitcoin were to lose the 786 that's directly under there at 67, almost $68,000, then we could entertain a move back to the 618, which is around that 63,800 with that basis band coming in at 63,250. Below there, you do want to see Bitcoin holding up around the 50% there, which is $61,000. And just for reference, we're going to throw back on our supports because Bitcoin is trading above it in blue sky territory. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly and monthly supports. The dailies fall in line with those. So this is going to look like a bit of a mess for a moment. We're just trying to pick out the fib levels and where they are in relation to the support structures below price action. So bear with me for just a moment. You can see that if Bitcoin did lose the 888 and the upper first here, there's the big zone kind of bracketing near the top side here, the 786 at 67,983, almost $68,000. We've got the prior all-time high put in November of 2021 at $69,000. And that's a zone down to 65, which was the March into April all-time high, which was the first high back there in 2021. Directly below there, you see the 618 just above the basis band there, and that's 63, 250, 263, 800, almost 64K. Below there, we're looking right back to this confluent area, which was the all-time high monthly close zone, which is coming in at right where that 50% read is to the 382 area, which is slightly below there, to be fair. But that's around 61, 350 to 58.8. That 382 is coming in there at around, let's zoom in a bit here. That's coming into the text. So we're going to have to zoom in. That's 58,350 or so. If Bitcoin were to come back and tag any of those areas, it would be in a bullish manner, approaching it from the top side to retest as support. And it already kind of did. It already retested the monthly close all-time high zone. It's retested the swing high zone as well in yesterday's candle. So, that might be good enough for grabbing liquidity, and then maybe it heads on up from here. But in the case that it does drop those areas, 69 to 65, a zone to look in. Just below there in the lower 60K region to the monthly there at 61,350. And if it does drop that, we're looking upper $50,000 region around 58 to 60. Pretty easy stuff. I do think that would provide, if it did head down that way, that would provide some really good opportunities. And we're seeing things just really shaping up in a beautiful fashion. If you are a TA price action nerd who just loves to watch price action, Bitcoin's been playing just absolutely beautifully since the bear market bottom that came in at 15.5. So this is great stuff. Let's see here. If you are enjoying this content, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, follow for whatever platform you are currently watching this on. Just trying to grow, not bore or drown the community, but grow the community here of like-minded individuals who are into Bitcoin and sound money and, want to get more involved in technical analysis. I've been doing this a long time. All of the information I give you is free. I don't have any paid groups. If anyone is posting as me in any social media platform or messaging you and saying, come to this Telegram or this or that, I have no paid groups. Link in the video description has a free Discord server. You can come hang out with us there. All of my videos are uploaded to YouTube and can be found on X as well. Probably archived on Twitch for a little while, but I don't pay for their long stuff. So it might only be up there for a couple hours or something like that. There's a free indicator as well in the link in the video description and in my profile on X. That's the Landy Bands indicator that you see here on the screen. That's free. You can just go grab it. It's got BBWP volatility metrics built into it. You can also grab those for free. They're on the indicator in the indicators tab, publicly available from the Caretaker, a brilliant developer who has allowed me to pilfer some of his code to use in my free indicator. We can see that the daily Stoke is pointed up on any closures above 72,160. So if Bitcoin does close here or higher today, that's going to remain with upside. It is going to very closely follow price action on a close open basis. So, you can keep an eye on it. I'd be more looking to volatility metrics. We're remaining within a very high volatility zone for price action as it relates to the bands here. And I'd be using the bands if I were you. That is a suggestion. Is in the criteria is all conditional. As long as Bitcoin is closing above the upper first, then that makes the upper second an available target. If it begins to close below the upper first, then we look to local supports. You got the top over here on the close open at 68,350, and then you work your way to the downside of that area, which this would be an order block candle because Bitcoin is trading above it. So this would be a demand candle at 63,800 on the low side. And we've got the high side there at 68,360 or so. Now you'll also note that the bottom side close of this candle is right in line, or just about right in line with the basis band here. And that's typically how you're going to see volatility levels line up with Bollinger Bands. And if you do get this indicator, I suggest that you put on the indicator, what did they actually call this? Let's go ahead and look, because they call it something specific, and it's on scales. Is it countdown to close? No. Status lines, bar change values. Man, maybe it was over here. There is a setting that you need to change, and now I'm completely blanking on which setting that is that you need to pick to get the indicator to show on the right hand side. Eventually, it's going to show right in the indicator the price level that the bands are at. Working on that still. It's a little bit of a challenge because it has to use labels, and yeah, TradingView indicators are written in PineScript, and they can be a little bit of a challenge to get them to line up and not like stack on top of each other and stuff like that. So it's more of a formatting issue right now, not a technical issue for printing the number next to the bands. I don't want to take too long trying to look for this, but I believe I could have swore it was currency unit scales, scales placement, no overlapping, countdown to bar symbol, days, no, hidden value line, pre-post market. Man, I'm not getting that. They changed this menu, so I'm really not seeing what I want to see here. Maybe one of you will have to guide me for TradingView, because it looks like they changed where the to basically mark the indicator where the indicator levels are on the scale. And I thought it was scales and lines here, but apparently I am not seeing it anymore. Oh, here it is. Indicators and financials show the value. Let's see if that, okay. You can do name and value if you uncheck this. So they did change it to a drop down now. It used to just be a checkbox. So it's under your chart settings. You can just double click on any of the candles on TradingView. You can come over here to scales and lines, the indicators and financials section. Go and just click value, and that will paint where the indicators values are. So the basis, upper first, upper second, upper third in this case, lower first, lower second, lower third. So you can see what price levels those bands fall on. So that would be your volatility price levels for the Bollinger Bands in this case. And you can even add names. So if you have multiple indicators, you can see like, okay, this one is the Landy Bands with trend checker. This one is whatever other indicator I'm using, and that kind of stuff. So in this case, I just have value checked there, and that will give me the price levels. So if you do add the indicator to your chart and you're not getting those price levels, that's how you do it. All right. Glad I figured that one out, because they have been making a lot of updates, a lot of them very good, some of them a little confusing, but that is a good one, bringing that to a drop-down menu. Cleans up the interface. So, all right, let's look at some timeframes below the daily here. Let's look at the 4 hour. 4 hour has been absolutely beautiful with its uptrend here, dipping down on the wicks into the basis, lower first, lower second zone for liquidity, and then heading back up. We had the nice big run up into the new all-time high here, and then directly after spiking around 69,324, we had that sell-off coming into from Monday into Tuesday that hit the lower second. So high volatility. You see the pinch here in the bands, low volatility, that's compression to expansion, which means that, because price is so volatile in those higher term timeframes, price can run the entire set of bands from the upside to the downside very quickly. And it did just that. And it put in big volume. So when it put in this volume over here, I did review this particular trade with you guys and gals here. I reviewed this trade because in the lower term time frame, seeing the volume come in, it was a volume play right back into an area of interest around the monthlies. That was the monthly closing all-time high zone that we had just looked at earlier, 58.8 to 61.350. Once we saw the volume coming in right in that zone, that's when I hopped on board with a beautiful long position scalp. And I'm still keeping open my swing positions from far lower. Those probably aren't going to close anytime soon. We see that we also had a nice spike down here in the lower term timeframes. This was just a blip. This happened on Sunday. This trade I discussed with you guys as well. And then we had another one here. Nice big volume coming in. This one I also traded. Let me go ahead and show you how that one went. I got to go look at a few things here. But this was, we had the big rundown in, this was prior to breaking the 69,000, or this was after breaking the all-time high at $69,000, going up to around 69,300, 325 area. We saw massive volume coming in on the high and the low. And specifically, it was kind of bracketing price. So this high and this low wick were defining the volume here. Then we had a consolidation, a nice run up, and then a move back down to test this consolidation. It never closed below this consolidation on the hourly, which was a good thing. That's what led to the shotgun back to the upside, but tested, the consolidation areas, grabbed liquidity from this consolidation over here, put in a decent amount of volume for a weekend. And that was the trade that I had just previously broken down with you. I believe that was one of them. And then we've got another here. This was, yes. So this was another one that I just recently jumped on. Why? Because look at the volume bars on the 15-minute. When it came back into this zone and retested, it tested the top side of this consolidation over here. We had a swing above, a swing below for liquidity, compression, expansion, consolidation, and then boom, right back down to test liquidity in that area where Bitcoin was consolidating over that that weekend, right? So that was the weekend into Sunday. Sunday dipped down below, and I'll show you that this did not close below over the weekend on the hourly. So if you look at that consolidation sideways, yeah, that was this guy here. This was the weekend, right? This consolidation, this rundown on Sunday never closed below this consolidation on the hourly, which was super bullish. It did mean that at minimum it was going to try the top side and the lows of the deviation that happened over the weekend as well. It did so and then absolutely obliterated it, and the all-time high there came up, consolidated, and then ran back down for liquidity yet again, hitting this same zone. So Sunday, when CME was open, it ran this zone, and then on Monday into Tuesday started heading back and testing for liquidity in this weekend price action zone. So that was an absolutely beautiful trade. Let me go ahead and show you, just as I did with the trade prior, how I longed the absolute crap out of it. This one wasn't necessarily me longing the absolute crap out of it, but it was very much a sizable position that I put on the board there. Let me go ahead and grab that. Yes. So that was this one here. Let's go ahead and grab a new tab, and we will pull this guy over here. Yes. So you can see that this was 312 in the rundown. And I ended up Not sure why on this particular thing. Maybe it's because it's on the 15-minute. It was on the 5-minute chart. I was basically on this wick prior, but it shows me on the up candle here. It's not very specific about where the order was. I'm actually not going to show you the size and or any of that kind of stuff. Sorry. But that was basically this close open right here on the 15-minute. And that's because we saw the rejection on high volume on the top side of this consolidation. And as soon as it started to close below the lower second and get expansion down, I was watching volume build, and it built to a crescendo on the lower term timeframes below the 15-minute candle here, and came in with the wick right there. I jumped on board and started filling my order around that area. It does fill in parts, so it was basically laddering down on the candle, and maybe the reason why the buy probably finished on the next up candle is when it fully completed that order. So in that case, that's probably why the buy was there. And then, it shot right back up, and the play was to at least go back and test the bottom side consolidation. If it can get above, which it did, tested the bottom side consolidation, came back down, grabbed onto the lower first, rode that above into compression, started riding above the basis, and just walking the price action up between the upper first and upper second. And then we got a nice little dump off for liquidity again. Came in on volume. This was another good trade as well. I don't have that one pictured for you, but it's just like the bear market, where all rallies would seem to fail. You'd see the volume come in, you get in your short position, and then you ride it back down, right? And you could, just like in the bear market, take, you could take longs in the bear market, but they're more likely to be sold into, and you need to be very aggressive with taking your profits and protecting your position. And in this case, it's just the opposite of that. Longs preferred, not financial advice, of course. And there will be larger drawdowns in Bitcoin's future here. It's just now getting its breakout above its prior all-time high at 69K, at least sustained for a couple of days now. And, there will be drawdowns, but there will be opportunities, essentially is what I'm saying, for riding a short position down and a little bit more than just aggressively taking profit over the course of a couple hours, as these are 15-minute candles here. But it's going to more than likely be picked up, right? So this was picked up, and we went from 71,700 to where it's trading now. On the high side, it was at 73,550. Did not get above these highs just yet, but if it does take out this cluster up here around 73,700, we're looking probably 74, 75K. Then we can start looking to that daily upper second standard deviation here, coming in at 76,800, almost 77. I do suspect this is going to rise to around 77, 77 and a half or so, if Bitcoin closes here or higher today. And, to the downside, I would just be mindful of the prior all-time high at 69 to around $70,000, where the upper first standard deviation is, and kind of go from there. Of course, if it does close above yesterday's wick high at $73,027, then as long as it's maintaining that, coming into the next daily close, that being the Thursday, probably looking up into the right. That is the primary bulk of analysis that I'm going to do here for Bitcoin. I am going to jump over into the chats. We're going to throw on some music to cover for me reading, so you're not just sitting in silence staring at a chart. Let me go ahead and throw the tunes back on here real quick. I'll head over into the various chats and see if anybody has any questions, comments, would like me to investigate maybe different timeframes on Bitcoin. We are going to take a look at here right after this. We'll take a look at the 2-day, 3-day, 4-day, 5-day, which are the closes coming in between that weekly there, and kind of gauge where momentum and volatility is. So basically, how much pressure up do we have? How much volatility do we have left in the bands in BBWP, and kind of gauge those metrics real quick. But I do want to take a look in the chats here. Also, I see that the spammer is back. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of him. Yeah, all he did was switch to an alt account. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same message. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and get tunes back on. We're gonna go with Heavy Skies. I think that's what was playing coming in. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and check out the chats here. We've got hello Sam, Baba, No Name, Roka. Good to see you all here. Sam says, I believe B&B will be in the 1K range this bull market. Sure, it's very possible. We'll investigate that maybe on Friday. We'll take a look at some alts. So prepare which alts you would like me to take a look at, and we will do so. Let's see if we have anything over in the... Yeah, I've got a lot of you over there in X, and I can't see the chat without. Let me try this. So I'm gonna mute everything real quick and see if I can jump into the chat there. See if anybody's got anything to say, anything to ask. Real quick here. And if you are subbing me on Twitch, I am not active on Twitch. I do stream to Twitch. But I do suggest that you head on over to Landy's Crypto Corner on YouTube and sub the channel there, and I can also see you chatting there as well. So if you same for X, because X, the API is not mature right now, and getting it, the back-end dashboard keeps crashing on me for the chat, so it's very difficult for me to see. Let me mute real quick and see if I can just enter my own stream and see if anybody's got any questions there. One of the problems is it disappears, so let me just mute this real quick. Okay. Yeah, that's not... Okay, let's bring the music back. That's not working well, and I think I'm probably going to get some reverb now. My apologies. Get away from that screen real quick. Yeah, so I can't... If you are chatting or asking questions on X, I am not going to be able to see them unless you're in YouTube. I know that they have been working on the live streaming side of X, so there has been changes to the back-end dashboard, so hopefully that will all be worked out. I'm sure they're aware of what's going on. For those of you that I can see here on YouTube, do you have any questions about what I discussed either in yesterday's video or in today's analysis? Please go ahead and let me know. We're going to go to, you want degen chart? Sure, I can put on degen chart. We're going to go 30-second chart. Or do you want something like the second chart? Bring back support and resistance levels. Yeah, sure. We have, it's not going to show unless I zoom out pretty far here when we're looking at a 30-second chart, but if you'd like to see the support and resistance levels, we'll go to something like a 4-hour. You can see that the lower second is right there at 69K. So even a hellacious dump off of like 4 grand or a little bit more than 4 grand, it's still lower second is a likely area to get picked up, being right at a support. I mean, it's trading above the upper first on the 4 hours, so it looks very good. Potential upside to 74,250. Probably, you know, more likely than not that gets tagged around there, 75K, if Bitcoin can maintain the basis to upper first on the 4 hour. Yeah, so the basis is coming in at 71.7 basically. Upper first is just below trading price right now at 73. So if the 4 hour can close there, coming into close of day today and 2 hours and 32 minutes, then now it will move up. It may even pass price, but as long as Bitcoin can regain it and stay above the closing highs here at around 72,110, we're likely to see the basis move to these closing highs or just above them. And if Bitcoin can maintain that and the basis, I would be looking up and to the right into the $74,000 to $75,000 range. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. Very bullish. Music is too low or too loud? You have to let me know. Yeah, I see a lot of people in the X stream, but nobody chats in the X stream. Or I can't view the chat right now. They did have it working on the dashboard on the back end where I could monitor it before, but then they made some changes and now it's just broken. So unless I'm joining the stream and watching it live, because chat does kind of disappear as it rolls along, I can maybe enter the chat on my phone. If there's anybody that has questions. You're in both streams. You're in all three. Well, that's got to be annoying. Probably getting some reverb. Oh, there's nobody is chatting. Everybody's just watching. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Yeah. So Bollinger Band thesis is not really a thesis. It's Bollinger Bands are a way to measure volatility, right? And it gives you clear, concise levels of volatility, right? And that in conjunction with something like BBWP, which is the Bollinger Band width percentile by Caretaker, where he kind of solves for a problem that Bollinger Bands inherently had using BBW or Bollinger Band width and Bollinger Band percent as separate calculations. And it's not directional. It's just telling you that price volatility is high within the context of the Bollinger Bands. So if you see something like a consolidation like this, this is compression of the Bollinger Bands back here, right? So this was on Sunday, the 2nd. Now, when you see compression of the Bollinger Bands like that, you also see BBWP, or price volatility within the context of the Bollinger Bands, came down because Bitcoin was trading at the basis. We get that nice compression. We get expansion. As soon as Bitcoin closes, above the upper second standard deviation here on the chart, you see this line cuts right through. You see that BBWP got up over the moving average, indicating that Bitcoin was in an expansive phase. So confirming what we were already seeing by Bitcoin closing above the upper second, kicking off Bollinger Band expansion, we're also getting price expansion. So as if Bitcoin were to break the highs, right, on a close, which it had already done at that point, on this candle that kicked off expansion, it broke the closing highs. So the next target was the actual highs there at 64,100. You can see that it wicked it and then paused and closed right on it. So above there, it's the next resistance, and that was the all-time high zone that got ran at 65 to 69K. After hitting that area, it came right back and ran the other way in terms of the Bollinger Band. So it trended outside of the upper second, in between the upper second and upper third, came back, tried to find support on the upper first, wicked into the upper second, lost it, and dumped all the way down to the lower second, but right into a liquidity zone at a major support level, which was the monthly closing all-time highs there at 61,350 to 58.8. So when you're evaluating, when you use something like Bollinger Bands, and the way that I've traded for many, many years, and the way that I was taught was there's four key pillars to trading. And yes, my mentor's actually in chat right now. The guy taught me how to trade many, many years ago. This is a refinement of his thesis of what he taught me to do. And that is, you have your four key pillars to trading: trend first, support and resistance, historical support and resistance for whatever time frame you feel is is relevant to your trading style. But in this case, I prefer the higher term time frames, and then I'll manually go down and mark lower term time frame support and resistances independently. But we have those two key pillars. There's no preferential treatment to any of these four, but you'll see how they kind of fit together. You got trend, support and resistance, and volatility. That creates momentum. And 99.99% of the indicators and strategies that you see employed in the crypto side of things for traders is a lot of momentum stuff. And it discounts understanding the first three parts in many cases, which is trend, support and resistance, and volatility, which create momentum. So in this case, momentum remains very high on the 4 hour. It is in the overbought zone, but it's getting bullish resets. Why is it doing that? Well, it's doing that because when it is coming down, it's hitting major support levels, or was hitting major support levels, and then also major band volatility levels to the downside. So, we did see a nice little compression, and it's, volatility is actually fairly low right now, but it is looking to turn back up in terms of price volatility to the upside as it stands right now. But it's not confirmed until after close today. But, more likely than not, as it stands right now, if we were to see volatility increase, so BBWP number is up over the moving average, but we do want to see the moving average get a positive slope. And Bitcoin is trading and closing candles above the basis to upper first standard deviation. That's where we look for aggressive expansion to the upside on any closes above the upper second. So as long as it's trading above the upper first and maintains it coming into close today, we're probably going to see the moving average shift over to a positive slope instead of a downside slope. And then if Bitcoin does head up, take out its local highs, then we're looking for expansion again. In this case, aggressive expansion above the upper second standard deviation, which is currently at 74,250. So that's where I'm looking for 75K to the daily area at the upper second here. So the upper second being at above 75, coming in almost at 77. I do suspect it's going to be somewhere around 77, maybe even low 77K region. So, essentially what I'm looking for is if $75,000 is tested and Bitcoin can close above $75,000, I am looking pretty quickly thereafter for Bitcoin to try to head up to the deeper $70,000 territory, possibly into $80,000 and or lower $80,000 area. Somewhere in between the upper second and upper third as it currently stands. We are going to see the upper third move deeper into the lower half of the $80,000 area. It's currently at 83,639. So, it is it's in a confluent zone, but there's no guarantees. It's all conditional. It's all conditional, even if I can speak English correctly. It's as long as Bitcoin is trading and closing 4 hour candles above the basis, that remains a more immediate possibility, that being the upside, but it can still come all the way back down to the lower second and still be incredibly bullish, right into that $69,000 prior all-time high. You can see the lower second standard deviation is there. On the next close, if Bitcoin closes anywhere above the basis, we're likely to even see the lower third be around that area, lower second moving above it to somewhere around this high. I would suspect around 69.5 to 69,700 or so, maybe even $70,000. Now, if it were to close below there, still looking at that support at 69K to the lower third area to get picked up. Now, I don't just trade off of that. I observe price when it gets to those levels. Same thing on the top side. So when price starts pushing the upper second standard deviation, I'm watching it on the lower term timeframes as it relates to the 4 hour upper second. For instance, when it was trading at 72, I'm watching the lower term timeframes. If the lower term timeframes start closing below 72 coming into the 4 hour close, then maybe I can, if I haven't already positioned, to take level by level the 4 hour upper first basis, lower first, lower second, so on and so forth, as potential targets if I'm in a trade. But I monitor volume very closely as well. You can deconstruct the order book very easily by looking at volume. You're not going to get the specific spots within each candle of where that volume came in, like this big order, on this candle into the monthly there, which has been tested, to be fair. Bitcoin has been doing like one test of the supports and then moving on for quite a while now. But in this case, we saw a big volume coming in here and big volume coming in on the high over the weekend, or on Tuesday, I should say. This was not over the weekend. It tested the weekend price action from back here, but essentially you can deconstruct the swing high here, or wick high, shadow, if you like. This was an important high from the open or close, the close open of these two candles on the 4 hour to the wick. Very important zone, right? And then on the downside, wick to close open on the low here, very important. You're not going to see exactly where the large orders were. This is not an order book. There are tools that kind of try to give you order book volume there. You can deconstruct it with, fixed volume ranges to see where it came in on that candle. It's just not worth it. It's too much work, and it's not going to give you any more alpha than you already have by looking at the volume coming in on the low right into support. It's also trending outside of the lower second and lower third, which is an extreme read on volatility there. I probably would have been taken out of the trade if it rejected the lower first and then came back down into the zone to try and tag like lower at 65 or something. But the trade met all of my risk management criteria back there. And then of course this most recent one that I took, which was that was that trade. I got into that trade pretty heavily as well. And then in the prior live stream I showed this trade over here, where the hourly 15 minutes did close below the weekend consolidation, but the hourly did not. I was also longing the ever-loving crap out of this on the way down because I am bullish, and it was headed towards a major support area that I had already identified as being of interest. So one of the things that you need to do in technical analysis is you need to have specific criteria. So it's an if-then. If you're into programming, you understand if-then statements, if-then else. If-then, if Bitcoin breaks above this level, then I'm looking for these levels. If or else, I'm looking for it to come down to this level, right? Everything is basically conditional. If Bitcoin meets the condition on the 15-minute of closing above the upper second standard deviation, I would look for it to run the high here at 73,700, right? 73.5 to 73.7. If it gets above there, the condition would be that it's getting candle closes above the upper second, expanding BBWP volatility, and then I'd be looking for much further up, probably into the $74,000 to $75,000 range. If it begins to break down below the lower second, right, it's a condition. At 72,767, I'm looking for it to, try to test the downside support area, get expansion down into around 72,200 or so to this low here on significant volume, not insignificant volume, I should say. It's just not the biggest volume we've seen, but 71,700. If it were to break down there, by the way, this was the highs from, this was the initial high off the bounce of the prior all-time high zone. So we had 69 and under get tagged. It bounced up to the upper first area on the 15-minute here, came back down to the basis and consolidated. Well, when this ran back, what did it test? It tested directly wick to wick at that 71,700 area. So we do have confluence. This was a high volume area here. It was high volume on the lows. So you can kind of consider this, part of that order block candle. And, if Bitcoin were to get expansion down, I would be looking there. If it does pass that area on any closes, then I'm looking to this little consolidation at 70,650. Breaks down from there. Look left, not too much, just air. We're looking back at 69K. So it's pretty simple, but it is all conditional. You're not going to get crazy wild targets and like speculation from me. You're going to get conditions. That's how I trade. For those of you that have been around a while, you know this very well. for those of you that are new, I do encourage you to investigate further what I'm talking about for yourself on your own chart. But yeah, that's the basics of that. What does momentum look like on the floor? Let's see. Momentum, I believe it was up. Yeah, so on any closes above 72,730 or so, looking good. Bitcoin's trading at 72 or 73,200 rather, and that does mean that as long as Bitcoin can trade above the upper first here, I'm looking for it to head up and to the right. 15-minute, it's just consolidating right now. It is pointed down. 73,360 is the momentum pivot. Kind of neutral volatility right now. It's really easy. It's an easy play, like I said. Below the lower second, looking for expansion down. Somewhere around 72.5 to 72.2. If it does pass that area, then I'm looking to the wick area around, upper 71K area. Could even swing there, right? And if it swings there and closes back above this wick especially, then it's a very good setup. It's a good deviation setup. Of course, do your own research. This is not financial advice. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Oh, I see. Okay, so some of you guys are from... okay, you guys from the chat group on Twitter and MBO can see that I'm online. Okay. Want me to talk about ordinals? I don't really have much to say. I mean, ordinals are in a drawdown. What is it? Dune? Dune is the website to look for ordinal stuff. Right? Now I have to sign in to see that chart that I had pulled up. Yeah, they're in a drawdown. I mean, Bitcoin's pumping. Most ordinals are Bitcoin flip, so get more Bitcoin, bring it to cold storage, or throw it on the exchange and gamble more. Right? that's pretty normal. I would say when Bitcoin puts in like a good daily closing high, then we haven't seen a daily closing high yet in a while. When was the last daily closing high? Daily closing high was, last one was right into the weeklies there, and that's when ordinals were really pumping hard. This was, end of February, early March. We saw the daily high, so daily high conditional is, lower low closes, and that's where we got that right into the weekly at around 50,800 to 51K. I mean, to be fair, spot drew down to like 50,500, but held the weekly nicely, bounced up, got above 53. Everybody's partying. Sideways here, no daily high, but the more sideways Bitcoin goes, it's more profit taking. You're probably going to see that roll into ordinals and alts and all kinds of stuff, and get like mini, alt seasons and NFT seasons in between. We're not looking for like major alt season anytime soon. While Bitcoin's putting in work. But yeah. I sound like a kid. I am not a kid. I wish I was. No, I might sound like a kid, but no, I'm not. Let's see what else here. You sound like a radio disc jockey that I used to listen to. Really? You were saying radio disc jockey and that I sound like a kid. Kind of dating yourself there. I assume that you're also not a kid. Okay, yeah, no. Cool. Let's see what's going on over here. Anybody chatting over in YouTube? No one chatting in YouTube right now. Just saying the normal folks saying hi to me, and then bouncing and just watching or listening in the background. All right. Sounds good. BNB 600. Oh, okay. Yeah, I already read that. Say I'm looking in that 1K range. We'll take a look at that stuff on Friday, buddy. Just remind me, Sam. There was another one from Monday I needed you to remind me of. I told you I'd get to it. Can you remind me right now what it was? Please? Because I did tell you I'd look at something that you had requested on Monday. And then we'll wrap after you remind me what that was. Yeah. You know, I don't... Okay, so there's quite a few people that are from the ordinal side of things. Welcome. If you guys are into TA and or just learning it, this is the right place. I do suggest you hang out in the Discord. It's free. It's pretty chill. It's just me and some friends right now. It's kind of always just been me and friends. It was only private because we have like personal conversations and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's open. You can go hang out there. Follow me on YouTube and X, formerly Twitter. And you're more than welcome to hit me up in some of the open chats or publicly. You're probably not going to get a response out of me in DMs because I have really restrictive settings on for DMs, because I get all the exchanges trying to have me shill for them. Because what they do is, for exchange partnerships, is you get a cut of the maker taker. And that's like for any accounts that sign up with your reference link, they do you get partial, maker taker fees. And I'm not interested in doing that. I want people to learn to trade. And also most of these exchanges are B-booking. Like MEXC, they B-book, a bunch of others B-book as well. And that means that they're counter trading you, essentially. That's it. I'm not going to get into it right now, but you can look up B-booking and you can pretty clearly understand what they're doing. They're your counterparty. And that means that they want to hit your stop, they will, even if it doesn't match what's on spot or any other exchanges. So don't want to direct anyone that's trying to learn to trade with any consistency and accuracy to be on a B-book exchange via me, right? I don't want to be making money off that shit. So all info's free. Yeah, no, I don't lock anything behind paywalls. I don't have any paid groups. If you see anything like that, please let me know. No, I don't even know. Man, I got no following, and like they still go after the bots still pick up like, oh, they're in the crypto space. We could probably grift there. And it's the same as any other space. There's grifters everywhere, but they're a little bit more aggressive with larger and smaller accounts on social media. Oh, I'm sorry. I got away from the 30-second chart. We got a 30-second double bottom. Thank you for pointing that out. Oh, geez. Yeah. No, man. Still jealous that I picked up the artwork. Oh, you're talking about by all the miscode? Yeah. I'm sorry, dude. There was a lot of people that wanted that, apparently. Yeah. Well, what can I say? We did the deal, and she was wonderful. Absolutely. I know she's got stuff that she's OTCing. She's also got stuff listed. Yeah, it's beautiful. And she gets it. She understands it. That's more important. Like, you got a bunch of ETH kids coming over and making like ordinals, but they don't get it. They don't understand. That's like most of you are from that are watching are probably from NBO, right? Because we're all in that same chat. It's like Loki gets it. He understands. It's you have to understand Bitcoin. You have to understand the blockchain. You have to understand the reasons for being a Bitcoiner and why. You have to understand why Bitcoin is going to eat the world. If you don't, you're just not going to get it, and your pieces will reflect that on chain. Excuse me while I move my microphone. You're going to hear a little bit of creaking. Yeah. No, I think it's a great piece. I plan on using it in my live stream stuff. Yeah, it's hardcore. The piece is actually called Fuck the Fed, so it's pretty hardcore, right? In terms of like, you know, buy BTC, free Ross, go back to your alt chain. All the little nods and winks are there, including being inscribed on rare sats. So that's cool too. No, I'm all for it. Like this was a buy for me. This isn't a Bitcoin flip. No. No, last stream somebody asked me too. You know, I don't know if your usernames match your Discord names, but yeah, no. Somebody asked me to. No, I'm not waiting for the floor to rise, and I'm looking at. Nope, this is for me. I'm gonna use it. I'm getting a print done. In fact, it's already sent off. She provided me with the 300 DPI file. Beautiful. Sent off. Gonna be framed and come back and hang it on the wall. Absolutely. Let's see what else is going on here in chat. What else would you like to see? Did you answer me over here? Injective. INJ, correct? Okay, it was injective. So I am going to check one alt because I did promise Sam that I would do this, and to remind me. I typically am only going to be doing alts on Fridays from here on out. It's just Bitcoin is going to be the focus, at least until we see alt season, and we see Bitcoin dominance begin to curl over and fall. You have a specific exchange, Sam? We're just gonna go with Binance for right now. We'll go with Spot. I prefer Spot over, just so you know, I chart Spot and then I trade perps. And the main reason why is because Spot is the primary driver. Yes, perps can deviate and you can do CVD and what's going this way and what's going on. Spot is the ultimate driver, right? It's supply and demand, right? And leverage positions can easily be taken out by Spot, both to the upside and downside. So in this case, the 30-second chart is in an uptrend. So let's go ahead and look at the daily. Daily looks like a big old rejection at the upper third standard deviation, but it's still trading above the upper first. So looks great. Nice up candle above 45.40. Beautiful. You remember our downside area to hold? This was a long time ago at this point, I think. Dipped in there, consolidated, higher low fashion too. See the rising lows. This was an easy train to get on. Above that closed higher, wicked, and once it broke out above 45.31 or so, it's pretty much up and away. It might come back down for a retest by the upper first, so be aware. At that $45 zone, I am looking at the right one, correct? You'll have to let me know. Its injective is INJ, I believe, right? I could have just looked at it. Yes, it is. You did mention the exchange as well. Is it on Coinbase on here? Let's just do Binance. It's fine. We had charted at Binance last time. Anyway, it is, this is a beautiful move off of the lows of 2022 into 2023. This was a first mover in 22. It moved with Bitcoin into 23, where Bitcoin basically went bull mode right at the beginning of 2023. Held its beautiful uptrends. It even consolidated when Bitcoin consolidated. Broke out when Bitcoin broke out. So it's playing along with Bitcoin pretty closely here. Weekly is looking for expansion right now. It's pointed up on any closes above 44.13, so that looks very good. If it can close above the upper second standard deviation at around 51 bucks, which just so happens to be 52.92. So if it can take out its high on the weekly on the close and or close above the upper second standard deviation, I would be looking upper 50s to $60, and then that does give us a read of around that upper third on the weekly at 60 bucks right there. So that there is confluence there. Momentum's to the upside. It's right in the top half of the bands here. Looks great. Very positive if it closes above the wick highs here at 46.49. Looks great, and I would expect it to keep marching, and either closing above and or pushing the bands to the upside here. Let's look at volatility. Yeah, it's lining up for a shot here. It may it may be ready soon, but we want to see for sustained weekly upside. We want to see the moving average, or we want to see BBWP above the moving average while it's closing candles above its upper second. So, if it does fail and close back below, we'll call it 46.50 this week, I would be generally looking for a little bit more compression of the bands. You see the lower second, lower first racing up with the bases here to come into the bottom side support area that we identified prior. So I would be looking for, to find its footing there. And then, just keep watching that top side. I highly doubt that it's going to compress to re-expand to the downside, but if it ever did, there's a nice consolidation on the weekly here, and in and around 20 bucks, but that's a long ways away, between like 25 and 20 over here. I'm not, that's only if it loses its lows here at around 30 bucks. Then you can start looking mid 20s and low 20s. Above there, this is bullish and up and to the right, and more aggressively up and to the right on any weekly closures above 51 bucks. The daily looks pretty good. It's, trying to break out of this consolidation structure. So, profit taking and shorts coming in, not abnormal at all. Daily looks good on closes above 46.30. It's probably going to chase price action pretty close. You can see that we do have BBWP up over the moving average. Moving average has a positive slope because it did close above the upper first and upper second in yesterday's closure. So, as long as it's trading above the daily upper first at 45 bucks and closing up there, it's more likely going to be up and to the right. And you can see that lines up with the most recent closing high as well. So, looks good. Looks good. So that's pretty much going to do it for today, guys. If anybody else, or guys and gals, I don't know if some of the regular ladies are here or not, but if you are, thanks for hanging out. But yeah, if anybody else has any questions, go ahead and get them in now. And take just a moment. We'll go degen chart again for 30 seconds, and I'll let you catch up because there is a bit of delay on the streams here. And if you do have any questions, go ahead and get them in. I do prefer questions come through YouTube. So it's Landy's Crypto Corner on YouTube. And it's just easier for me to see and manage. Let's go ahead over here. Yeah, we got a lot of people on X, but not really chatty today. Or at least chatty in a way that I can see. And I do think something tells me that there probably is people chatting, but it's just bugged on my side and I can't see it. Also, when I click on the stream, it says something went wrong. So I can't even get into the dashboard. Let me just type in here. Hello. Is anyone out there? You can hear me as well if you're actually watching. if you want to, you can see I said hello, question mark, exclamation point in there. You can click on my profile and you can just follow the link to YouTube if you have any questions. It's easier to ask there anyway. Hopefully they fix this soon. No, so I've seen people posting charts. So I did get a question here that I can see about ordinals and charting ordinals. I've seen people posting like TradingView style charts for ordinals, and I do not know which site that was. Most of the sites that I've seen or run across that do have charts also have wallet drainers, so please be careful. I have seen some of the bigger, ordinal space accounts post charts like that, but I don't know which platform they're posting it from. I'm sorry, I'm just, ordinals are a degen play for me and a pure, like, art lover play. But not really, so I'm not really deep into it. From the mining side of things, I am. Am I gonna show you guys how to set up mining software? Yeah. Yes, I will dedicate a stream just to that. I'm gonna work out what I want to say and how I want to present it though in a Discord stream. So if you do want to, before publicly streaming, I want to get down exactly the points that I want to nail, kind of what questions people have, so that I can present it in a way that kind of already answering some burning questions. So if you join the Discord, you can hop in there, just hit verify. Sledgehammer will verify you, and then you can pop in and say hi. No, there's plenty of degens in my server. In fact, I think we're all degenerate traders on that server. Yes. Yeah, no, if somebody wants to link me to, a particular site that has TradingView style charts for listings on Magic Eden, you can do so. I would be happy to have you link me to that, and I'll check it out. No problem. Did I get my mining equipment? I've had mining equipment for a long time. I've ordered, at least I believe that's what I did, is the pre-sale for the second pre-sale for the Apollo 2, which is a at-home node, full node, and lottery miner. You can join it to a pool too. Or you can solo mine with it. I have the Apollo 1, both the full node, and I ordered a full node for Apollo 2, and I don't know, I tried to order, I don't think, I'd have to go check, but they have basically like a plug-in solution to add to the original Apollo, the Apollo 2, that's not a full node, but increases the hash rate. I have full-blown miners. I've got full-blown ant miners as well, both in data centers and at home. Those do not run all of the time at home. And then pleb miners. The BitAxe project is awesome, by the way. So if you do see those come up, I've got two of them. Two of them? Yes, I have two of them now. They have a newer version, yes. So go ahead and, yeah. There's a few different places. I think it's Scott, S-K-O, let me go look for the gentleman's name. One of the main developers on that project. But it's D-Central is one of the main marketplaces that they're partnered with in the UK. There's also Altier. I don't really care for their site because they try to snoop everything, and they set off every single one of my trip every single one of my firewall alarms, I should say. Yeah, on the heuristic side, not like malicious code side, but heuristics. It's they don't like the Altier, Altier. I'm saying it wrong. It's a US based miner. I've ordered stuff from them before, but their website is not something I trust. And I have, yeah, no, I install my own software on the miners. Let me look at the profile. Yeah, it's Scott 9000. Yeah. So they've got an S21 chip that they've thrown in the BitAxe miner. And these are some of the newer ones that are being released. So you can go check them out. They're working with a few different partners. It's open source, so let me look. I think they tagged Decentral. Yeah, it's d-central.tech. They're really great. So if you are into mining or want to get into mining, flat fee shipping to the US, if you're in the US, it's basically they get Antminers and they desolder the ASICs and then put them on custom boards. There's a lot of projects that do this, by the way, but let's see. Pleb mining, if you go here, you see the BitAxe Ultra and Max are the newest ones. The Ultra is running the 550 gigahash. You know, they're lottery miners. You're lucky if you get a block, because they are lottery miners, but you enter the lottery every day, right? Every block you enter the lottery. And then you've got the 400 gigahash. So, you know, you're not pushing into terahash territory with any of this. These are small little pleb miners that are just cool. And then you've got the Supra. The Supra is the one that's pushing a little harder at 620 gigahashes per second. Super low power. I do suggest if you order from them, you pick a 5 volt 4 amp power supply to come with it. So they're back ordered on this right now, but they periodically they'll let you know. Follow them on Twitter. They'll tell you when things are back in stock. These things are great. They're great for learning. They're great for understanding. And then you just run your own node. Like, you're on your own node. You can aggregate your own UTXOs. You have full control over coin joins and stuff like that. So some more privacy stuff. Yeah. Roca says he got his from Bitronix. I'm not familiar with Bitronix, but you know, I think they sold out when I went and looked. Let me look here. No, I'll absolutely shill for these guys. They do a fantastic job. Fantastic job. I'm super impressed with the BitAxe. You know, they basically turn them into SBCs. They have Wi-Fi. Got a spot for your SD cards. You know, like they just do. And it's so slick. Like, man, they got the interface down pat. You know, I gotta hand it to the Apollo 2 stuff. So the Apollo project, absolutely. It's futurebit.io. This stuff is so slick. I can't wait to get the second one. I have the original Apollo here, which you can know they're out of stock. They sold out of them. People were so hungry for the Apollo 2, they sold out of their Apollo 1s. They're gone now. Wow. Really? No way. Yeah, they're out of stock. That's crazy. All right, good for them. I mean, they're switching over to the Apollo 2. So they were running a deep discount on them, $700 for a full node. And now, granted, it was only like, I think it was like 3 to 4 terahash. I gotta go down and look and see what it's running right now. The Apollo 2 is just, man, not only does it look awesome, you know, their pre-orders are up, and you can add, if you have an original Apollo, or if you just want to hook one up to your computer, you can get into this thing for $800, and it's running, I think, 6 to 10 terahashes, depending on your wattage mode. Now, super low wattage, you're running like, I think these things pull like 20 to 25 watts or something. It's nothing crazy on the BitAxe, you know, but if you want something a little bit more powerful, it's got a 450 watt power. Yeah, 6 to 10 terahashes. This, you can hook this up just to your computer, and they include the software for you, and like, it's, man, they're doing some cool stuff for like, you want to join a solo mine, you want a solo mine, or do you want to, you know, public pool? You can go public pool, solo mine. I've got my solo miners there. They're really cool. It's a neat pool. And then they like, just like, basically like, it looks like one-click interface they're rolling out here. Or you can, you know, join, you know, an actual pool and mine with others. But I do suggest that you understand how to mine, you understand how to, you know, you can aggregate UTXOs and you can do coin joins and stuff from a lot of the more popular hardware wallets as well, but running your own node is something that I do suggest you look into. It also helps support the safety and security of the Bitcoin network. So, but yeah, I mean, the pre-orders coming out. Yeah, so I would say, because of ordinals, I would go with the 2 terabyte SSD, because they are just loading the hard drives of every mining machine. And then, of course, it's replicated to every other mining machine. So that's, of course, why Filter Crew's got a big problem with this. Hence why I had the discussion about, like, if they ever win consensus, you know, you're probably just going to see a BTC fork for ordinals, like BTC Ord or something. But that also means that all the original ordinals that are on Bitcoin would never go away and just become that much more valuable. And there will be like a layer 2 solution to move those. Like, there's layer 2s coming, man. Stacks is another thing that I want to talk to you guys about and what they've got coming up. They also have some stuff coming up for the prior to the halving that you might want to get into. Of course, not financial advice, do your own research, all that stuff, but Stacks has got some really good stuff coming up. And I think they're going to be really innovating going forward here. Stacks is a great layer 2. I'm excited about the potential, but they also have the market cap now. They've got the developers. They've got everything they need to succeed, and then some. The Apollo 2 full node, which is the more expensive one, it runs just by itself. This Apollo 2 right here with either the 1 terabyte or the 2 terabyte SSDs comes preloaded, I believe, with their software. We'll see. I mean, I don't know when it's going to ship, 8 to 12 weeks, but I ordered it a little while ago, so I don't know. So you get full node. It's an all-in-one solution, so you're not hooking it up to your desktop. But if you want the standard, it's a miner only. You hook it up to your Windows or Linux PC, or you can backwards compatible. You can plug it into a full node Apollo 1, and it adds its hash power to the Apollo 1's hash power. Sure. Here's the link. Nope. Oh, God. Nope. That was the wrong thing. Click the wrong button. Hold on. I can add the link for you. Yeah. So there is American resellers for the BitAxe as well, but here's the place that I have had a lot of experience dealing with, and that's d-central.tech. So there's that link for you. Yeah. No, I think that everyone should run a pleb miner. Now the problem is, this is one of the bigger debates for the filter crew versus the Ortiz crew. And like, I've got miners joined to Ocean Pool. I have miners joined into the filter crew's pool. I also have miners that mine, regular core, which, accepts and relays and stores, ordinal transactions. So, and inscriptions, to the blockchain, right? Like, I think that it's a beautiful thing. And I think that actually having the conversations that have the different points of view is a beautiful thing as well. I fall on the side of, if people are going to trade using the base chain on Bitcoin, they're going to have to find a solution, which many are working on at the moment. I think Pipe might be one of those solutions. I don't know. It seems like a token / image thing, but there's other solutions to streamline this stuff for compression of data purposes, for lowering fees, fitting more into limited block space, so that it doesn't bog down miners, and doesn't exclude pleb miners. That's one of the big things is Bitcoin is going to have more and more pleb mining, and that's just lottery mining, and end node points for relays. So they, if you're running a small SBC that doesn't have an ASIC in it, they're going to struggle with a lot of this, and they do. So they're kind of cut or excluded from the network, portions of the network transactions, in that regard. Mainly because, who's going to take like a Raspberry Pi and really want to hook up like an SSD to it, right? But that's pleb miners like the BitAxes of the world, which are only going to get more and more powerful as they rip more ASICs out of newer machines when they come out. It's all about refining efficiency, accelerating the ASIC technology. It's all going to happen. So, I'm for it. A marketplace springs up on layer 1. People, that's real transactions. It's actual monetary transactions happening. So why would I be against it? It's more real than fiat, right? Like, you're not being debased on chain. It's immutable, it's secure, and there's a full ledger. So it offers levels of transparency that allow things like what I was discussing with some of you very recently, which was how to backtrack transactions to find those whale wallets that are dumping all the ordinals, right? Like, it's not hard. A little bit of research through mempool. There's some cool layout stuff that you can do, like Zach XBT does. All of that more advanced kind of layout features for tracing transactions back is kind of paywalled. Some of it is, some of it isn't. There's free stuff, but you just got to work around the quirks. Or you can just go mempool snooping. Jenny Data has a really good, way of aggregating information now, and they're getting better. And you can create your own, database lookups there as well, by creating your own dashboard. Shout out to my crew in Discord for putting me on game for that. So last time I checked Jenny Data, they weren't that far ahead on things, and then they kind of made leaps and bounds over the past 6 months. So it looks good. I'm all for it. It's people voluntarily exchanging monetary value directly on the Bitcoin network. I don't have a problem with it. Also, it helps to collect more fees. Want to collect them fees too, right? That's pushing those numbers up, baby. You collect that. If you mine a high value in terms of transaction fee block, you're just making like so much extra money. And miners are already preparing for the halving. They are taking profits at logical levels now. They're moving, Bitcoin to start to sell. They are selling into some of this. That is kind of what we are seeing. That's something you can monitor through CryptoQuant. This is free. You just go to CryptoQuant, make a free account, and you can look at exchange flows and flow indicators, market indicators, yada yada yada. And it's just all drop downs. I like the buy. I usually just stare at the ticker buy sell ratio. So if it gets too extremes on one side or the other, it kind of validates what I'm seeing in volume for getting in and out of those positions that I talked about earlier in the stream when I was doing TA and not just BSing. And then you can go like Coinalyze. They've got a decent OI aggregator. CoinGlass is another one. They're good. They got lots of cool charts too. Let's look at the daily here. You do want to see open interest rising with price. I mean, that's natural. So very good. It's around 20.2 billion. If we were to go out to like a weekly, that's probably an all-time high. No, not quite. Hasn't quite hit the high that it hit at $65,000 yet. That high came in at, I'm gonna have to zoom in. That was 21.6 billion in open interest on the $65,000 wick. So, it's still even trading in terms of open interest underneath. So, that's your spot markup versus derivatives. By about $4,000. 42.40. Is there a divergence play there? No, because there's no high. So there is no divergence play. Not yet. There might be. I mean, if it continues to appreciate, but it's probably going to be less and less relevant coming into the halving. I don't know. We'll just monitor it. Yeah. You're welcome, Sam. Roka said, yeah, they sold out in one day over at Bitronics. Now, Bitronics, you'll have to remind me, Roka, if you're still here. You have to remind me, are they a UK reseller? Yeah, no, I mean, look, I talked about this last week. Michael Saylor isn't going to give up the Bitcoin because you can leverage it for more fiat investment that he'll turn around and invest in Bitcoin. So, like, he's basically got, like, a 0 or negative interest rate on that stuff, by the way. It's, like, so stupidly low. So, just taking loans to get it back, they get a piece of the company in many cases in exchange, not the actual underlying Bitcoin. I mean, the company is a Bitcoin company at this point. I mean, he's also announced that it's going to be a Bitcoin development company, which means that they're probably going to, be launching some layer 2 stuff. Yeah, Saylor is doing it the right way. You might recall that I said do not sell Bitcoin. No matter how high it goes, no matter how low it goes, do not sell it. You can leverage against it. There's plenty of companies here in the United States now that are, will give you, fiat loans for the Bitcoin collateral. and they're fully registered, insured, all that stuff. Of course, we know how that goes. But yeah, you can multi-sig with them too. They're traditional finance companies. Okay, Roka, then that is a Euro company then. If you ain't paying freight and fees, then they're probably Euro only. Like if I would probably have to pay freight and fees. Well, it's not big enough to pay freight, but you know what I mean. International shipping. Yeah, just Bitcoin like a house. Yeah, it's like taking a mortgage out. But borrowing against Bitcoin is going to be the future. So you can leverage it for the dying fiat dollar, and because Bitcoin will go up forever versus the dollar, as long as it's still here, you're basically going to the dollar will devalue its the loan will devalue itself away. So you know, you could use Bitcoin to get dollars to then go buy property. So then you've got asset for an asset for an asset. Asset for garbage to get an asset. And, you know, as inflation rises, you know, fixed rate loans on homes get inflated away. That's why they don't really have a real vested interest in lowering or, you know, bringing inflation to negative numbers, right? Because it's all about inflating the debt away. I mean, but the party's going to end soon. Don't ask me what soon is, though. Yeah, so Ocean Mining's bringing Lightning on board with Volt 12 addressing. Interesting. I just read that from the mechanic. Grass-fed Bitcoin on X. Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, because I don't think they were running it before. And then right under his post, he says, at some point, it's not just the Bitcoin price going up; it's just the U.S. dollar dying. It's so true. It's so true. Oh, one last thing before I hop off here. Let's check out the saddest chart that you're going to see in a little while. It's not the saddest. It's holding up better than the dollar, to be honest. But let's go look at XRP BTC. Not XEP, XRP. I'm sitting so far away from the keyboard. Oh god, 30-second chart. Oh no. XRP versus Bitcoin is going down. But Mr. Green told me that XRP was going to go to $2,000. Damn it. Damn you, Mr. Green. What the hell? Many of you wouldn't know this, but I got into an argument with a moderately large account on X about XRP, where they were telling me that Bitcoin was bullshit, basically, and like gonna die eventually, and like all this other shit. I'm like, you do realize you're shilling for a banker coin, right? Like your whole play is centralization at this point. And you know, the whole XRP army started to jump on me about it. It's like, okay, you really think like you're stuck on this $2,000 number? Like XRP is going to be $2,000, and then they started rolling into Nasara bullshit, and it's just like, no, dude, you completely are defying what you say you believe in, which is you don't believe in the Fed and central banking and centralization, but yet here you are, like, basically telling me that I'm an idiot because I'm a Bitcoiner and I need to see the light because XRP is going to be 2K a coin. Oh man, look, XRP is going to go up versus the US dollar. It's going to. But this is a chart that only, oh yes, they also told me technical analysis is complete bullshit. And it's worthless. So, you know, I was dealing with very knowledgeable individuals. But yeah, this is the chart of, this is the sideways chart of hell versus Bitcoin. Now the US dollar chart, it's holding up better than the US dollar chart, to be quite honest. The US dollar chart is just straight down since Bitcoin's inception. So, you know, Bitcoin will go up forever versus the US dollar, and it appears that XRP is going to go sideways forever against Bitcoin. It will appreciate and it will pump versus the US dollar though. But yeah, I will trade it. I hold it. It's not going to 2K, and they'll be lucky if they see $15 this cycle. Lucky if they see their previous all-time high this cycle. If only. See, they also believe that they're not going to get sold into with all the other half of the outstanding supply. So, you know, but they said they're not going to. Yeah, okay. Shut up. But yeah, no. Gotta shit on Mr. Green a little bit. Sam, no. What I'm saying is, much like a home, when you own a home, when you go to buy a home, for instance, if you aren't paying for it outright, you take a loan against it, right, to buy it. But if you own a home and you pay down your mortgage to a certain amount, you could borrow against it because you have an asset. Okay. But you know, essentially, because Bitcoin is an asset that is also has monetary functionality that may or may not, depending on what school of thought you have regarding this, may or may not become the monetary transaction coin of the future. That's still up for debate. I believe that there will always be derivative, and Bitcoin will become the base layer of the output energy of the human race. So it's going to underpin literally everything. So, you know, there will be derivatives built on top of it and or pegged to it, but I'm not necessarily fully sold on transacting Bitcoin. You know, if anything, layer 2s might be able to do that, but there will most likely be some sort of US dollar-esque thing attached to Bitcoin or using Bitcoin to back it in the future. Whether that's directly or indirectly, because I do believe that Bitcoin is on its way to infiltrating the entirety of the electrical output, which is energy output, but there's the entire energy output of society to consider in terms of total output of nations, and Bitcoin will underpin all of it. I'm fully confident in that. It will also be implemented in ways in which security can be employed to protect computer systems and networks. So basically you need to spend Bitcoin in order to attack those networks, and good luck. That's a Jason P. Lowry proposal that was built on top of some prior proposals and advanced that particular narrative. That has been around for quite some time, trying to mix those two together there. But yeah, I do think that most alts will be relegated to obscurity. Yeah, no, I mean, basically all the stuff I said on Monday. Look, so if you've ever bought a home or you own a home, It's an asset, right? You own the land, you own the home that's on the land. And, you know, there's legal protections. But because it's considered, and it's an asset, it's a physical asset, as is Bitcoin. It is digital, but it's also physical. You can hold it on your, you know, cold storage device. It's physically there. It's physically holding those keys in non-volatile RAM in some cases, or volatile memory, storage memory. Depends on what you're using. And, you know, and just like your home, when you purchase a home, you put down 20% fiat currency, and the bank gives you the other 80%. You own the home. Technically, the bank owns the majority of the home. But as the home increases in value, because the dollar decreases in value, it's inflating away the debt that you took from the bank. It's inflating away that 80%. So you get equity building. As you make your payments and as inflation continues, you build equity in the home, which means you can borrow against it again. Which means you're borrowing fiat dollars from the bank in exchange for the asset, the remaining equity in your home. If you own a home outright, you can go to a bank and you can get them to loan against the home. The home is the leveraged asset. And, you know, you pay them back or they take the place, right? The same is already being done for Bitcoin. So it's not widely known, but it's happening. Yes. You own the Bitcoin, you can take out a loan against it. Now, of course, the big thing right now is decentralized lending against assets like Bitcoin. And I would avoid any players that pop up that are not licensed, bonded, insured, and backed in some manner legally. You know, we already had lending against cryptocurrencies last cycle. Your Celsius, your BlockFis of the world. And, you know, you're getting a yield by either the theory was gaining yield. You're the lender. Somebody's borrowing and they pay you yield. But no, there's traditional market ways of doing this now. So do not sell your Bitcoin. Just get more. It's only ever going to go up against whatever loan you were ever going to take against it. It will literally cannibalize the loan. And there is no vested interest in fixing the US dollar system in that regard, because they're trying to inflate away the debt. That's what they will do. But they're trying to play this balancing act by crushing the middle class and pushing the poor down and enriching themselves and widening that gap. While doing so, they are paying down their own. They're inflating away their own debt at the cost of the people. So, not the national debt. The national debt is the people's debt. You don't get a choice. So choose Bitcoin. There is no second best. If you choose fiat, you choose poor. Choose rich. I'm going to leave you with that. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. With all of that being said, I am going to leave the stream up for those of you that like to chart to some tunes after I end the stream here and review some of the things that we talked about. So we'll leave it up for, let's see, let's go. What time is it? It's late. Oh my gosh, it's late. So we are... we'll go to 15:55. So that's about 13 minutes. We'll leave the stream up. Get some tunes running in the background. I appreciate you all hanging out with me. Please like, follow, subscribe, do all that social media stuff. It does help out, get the word out, help people learn to trade and chart and all that good stuff. It's all free. So let me know how things go as well. Give me some feedback on what you want to see and or hear in the future from me. And we'll kind of go from there. So take care of yourselves. With all of that being said, Mindy out.